Let's go back into the big cap world, though. Alphabet's down 4%. Buying Wiz. So hard for me not to say the Wiz, Caroline. But this is a big deal. It's $32 billion.
Yeah, certainly would be the biggest deal yet in 2025 and the biggest deal for Alphabet ever. And fun fact, Oliver, when you say the Wiz, it brings me back to middle school because I actually starred in the middle school version of the Wiz. And I'll give you one guess in terms of what role I played. I auditioned for Dorothy, the Tin Man, the Scarecrow, and the Lion. And at the end of this, I'll give you the chance to think about it and guess. No. I'll tell you right now, I was a yellow brick. I'm not even kidding.
You're gold.
So yeah,
gold,
I can't believe I didn't make it to Broadway with that. But anyway, yeah, you know, it's hard to say if these declines that we're seeing today in Alphabet are that rotation out of big tech, like Alex said, just because big tech is out of favor, or if it's because of this deal. Alphabet's going to test out the Trump administration's appetite for antitrust issues here. The Google parent signed a definitive agreement to acquire Wiz for $32 billion. It's an all-cash deal. Wiz is a New York-based cloud security startup. If approved, I had mentioned this would be the biggest deal struck so far in 2025, and it would be Alphabet's largest acquisition ever by quite a bit. Its biggest so far was the $12.5 billion deal to purchase Motorola Mobility in 2012. So this combines Wiz's security platform with Google's cloud infrastructure. Google did say that Wiz products would still work on some of its competitors' platforms, including Amazon Web Services, Microsoft Azure, and Oracle Cloud. And if the deal sounds familiar, it's because it isn't the first time that Alphabet tried to acquire the company. Back in July, Wiz walked away from a potential $23 billion deal acquisition by Google. At the time, they were saying that basically there were concerns about regulatory hurdles, how long the approvals could take. There were also some disagreements about if Wiz would become part of Alphabet's cloud computing business or if it would remain its own unit. And at the time, CNBC reported also that Wiz basically told employees that they were going to go the IPO route instead. You know, we've heard of this deal one time before, different price tag now, though. So this will really set the tone, obviously, for tech deals under the new Trump administration as well. We know Lina Khan really tried to rein in big tech, so we'll have to see what her successor, Andrew Ferguson, has to say about this. But Google shares are under pressure today. Alphabet shares are under pressure today, down about 3.7%. That being said, all of the Mag 7, aside from Apple, as you pointed out, is lower today. So we're seeing weakness across the board for tech.
Yeah, it's interesting. You know, buying into a business line that is hugely in trend definitely makes sense. You know, I guess to some extent, maybe Alphabet could have taken some of this effort on their own, but I don't know. It's not like they really were focused on security necessarily. So I know it's a lot of money, but I mean they've got a lot of money. So I feel like just the market getting hit overall. I don't want to read too much into the selling of the stock around this deal. It could be totally unrelated.
Yeah, it's really hard at this point, and I think that it seems like what people instead are focused on when it comes to the deal is what this could mean for Alphabet's cloud business or cloud security business overall, because we know we saw
should help it a lot.
Revenue deceleration in that department when it last reported. 30% revenue growth, still impressive, but deceleration from 35% revenue growth in the year prior. So this has the opportunity to significantly strengthen that business if the deal, of course, goes through.
Okay, all right. It seems like a pretty good. Seems like a pretty good situation for them because everything in cyber right now is booming, and I feel like it's hard to spend too much in that area. It's definitely one the market's kept rewarding on repeat. You know, even these companies have like blackouts. You know, CrowdStrike, and doesn't matter. There's just such an unceasing demand for product. Okta gets hacked, you know, like keeps selling product. So, you know, why not throw your hat into the ring if you're Alphabet? It seems like there's just insatiable demand.
I was actually curious about the impact that this could have on some of those other names too, just to show that the demand and the appetite is still there. But we are seeing all those names that you mentioned, CrowdStrike, Okta, Palo Alto, all lower today. So I was thinking it might have the opposite effect. But when there's selling in tech, I guess it kind of runs the gamut.
Okay, thanks, Caroline. Appreciate that very much. Helpful report with Alphabet shares under pressure alongside the rest of the market. May not be because of the whiz. Tim Biggam joins us, option strategist, buy alerts, options whiz himself. Tim, good morning.
Good morning, OJ. And I'm not sure whiz is the term that many people use when describing me. It's another four-letter word, but we won't get into that here. But take a look at Google and the rest.
Three-letter. I think it's W-I-Z, unless you put an H in there.
I'm using the old school W-H-I-Z, so yeah, absolutely.
Traditional
traditional all the way is me, right? Yeah, doubtful there. But this market, I think, is kind of, in a trading range, that old, as we talked last time, big range, no change. So we saw that nice rally over the past several days, giving it all pretty much back here today, and some of these stocks even heading lower here. So I'm just taking advantage of still elevated implied volatility, certainly across the board here, and getting to be cheap valuations on some of these stocks. Finally, certainly not too long ago, most stocks were somewhat ridiculously valued. Now getting somewhat attractive here. So Google being one of those, Alphabet, certainly the cheapest of those, multi-trillion-dollar kind of cap stocks out there. Looking at PE only around 20 now, price to sales well under 6. Compare that to like Apple, which is kind of the value play, the safety play, as you alluded to today. It's up a little bit today, but Apple trading over 30 PE and still over 8 times price to sales. So I think Google at some point will get the benefit of that valuation. So I'm just going out and selling the traditional April out of the money put spread here, the 150, 145 put spread. Earlier was trading just over 50 cents. Now it's trading almost at $1, given the drop in the overall market and Google. So I don't mind being a buyer of some of these stocks, but I think patience absolutely pays here with implied volatility where it is. So I am absolutely being patient and structuring with out of the money put spreads kind of across the board here on the names I like. Take advantage of the recent stock weakness and the recent pop in IV. So getting a bigger cushion for my, if you will, patience.
Okay. And right now it's looking like you want as big a cushion as possible. Things falling apart. We're down almost $7, more than 4% in Alphabet, new lows for the NASDAQ futures this morning, too.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm, that 150 level, we're kind of at a key level right around here. That 160 level has held in the past. But if you look back to the September of last year lows on Alphabet, this area around 150, I think it briefly traded below there before it ripped higher, is an area where, if it breaks below there, you have your, I'm out of the trade sort of moment. But until then, at least I still have another 8 points of downside, and I can continue to hedge shorter term with some out of the money call spreads, take advantage of that high IV here. So I think, Google normally tends to be a lower beta name. Today getting hit, I think, because of the news on Wiz and just with the market. This might be the capitulation low beginning that we need to see here. So I'm not aggressive at all, but I think it's a trader's market. Buy the dips when they're big dips. And certainly I think sell the rips. I think that's the key going forward. The highs we saw earlier in the year, I think will be the highs for the year come December.
Okay, I like that. Fair technical analysis, I think, for sure. So sell the 150, buy the 145. Big range, no change. That's the Tim Biggam thesis right now.
I'm getting the T-shirts made. I'll send you one of those, too, to go with the other one from earlier.
I'm always on the Tim Biggam Birchbox.
Exactly right. I have 2 products now.
Appreciate it, Tim. Thanks for the trade.
You bet, anytime.
All right, selling some downside in Alphabet. So big range, no change.